What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel. And man, it is such a good time to be a Falcom fan, let me tell you. They've been on a generational run right now, and it's not stopping anytime soon. We had East 10 last year, we're getting Kaino Kaseki this year, there's a second Tokyo Xanadu game on the way, and there's like 2 remakes to look forward to. This shit is insane. So let's go in order and talk about what we already got, what we're getting real soon, and what to look forward to in the distant future. So this insane streak of bangers started off with East 10 last year. Now I'm not gonna lie, me personally, I think this gotta be one of the greatest games in the series. I know that's kinda crazy to say considering the game isn't even in English yet, but I played the game twice in Japanese, and oh my god, when I tell you I've never had so much fun with a game before, man. Closest thing to a 10 out of 10 in my life. Now, aside from my personal opinions, from an objective point of view, this game is a wonderful upgrade from where East 9 left us off. Don't get it twisted, East 9 was a great game too, but for an East game that was for once not on a handheld, but on an actual console, it left a lot to be desired. I think what really held the game back was the fact it was another party system game. Even if East 9 does a lot to make itself feel different from the previous party system games, there's really only so much you can do with the 4th one, you know? Having so many party members is cool, but at the same time, having that many doesn't exactly add all that much to the game, especially since most of the time you just pick your favorites and keep them in your main 3, so the others usually don't get used that much, if at all. But aside from the gameplay side of things, East 9 didn't exactly look amazing either. To be fair though, there is a good point as to why the game looks the way it does, graphically at least. But even aside from that, the animations still look weirdly stiff at times. Like, you think the characters would move more in certain scenes, but they just don't. Luckily, East 10 improved upon everything I just mentioned. For one, they just got rid of the party system, so now you only have 2 playable characters. Scaling back like this allowed Falcom to get way more creative with the special moves that Ado and Karja have. They're just flashier and feel way better to do. On top of that, the actual animations feel way more fluid and expressive. Like, there's even actual fight scenes now, and they look really cool too. East ain't never been moving like this before, and it felt so nice. Seeing the series you love gradually improve time and time again has got to be one of the greatest feelings ever. I really hope Falcom can keep this momentum up and continue to improve as the series continues. But outside of just East, Falcom is already pushing past their limits with the newest upcoming game, Kaino Kaseki, Farewell Ozumaria. Now, unfortunately, there isn't really much I can speak on when it comes to this game. For one, I'm only at Trollsome 0 right now, so if I look into Kai a bit too much, I'm definitely gonna fuck around and end up spoiling myself on something really big. Plus, by the time that game even comes out, I'll probably just be getting a Cold Steel 1. I might still be at Azure by that time, who knows. However, what I can speak on when it comes to this game is how cool the game looks and how hyped people are getting, cause goddamn, people have been losing it over this game. Man, it's always so fun seeing people get hyped over games. Anyways, aside from fan reaction, from what I've seen of the gameplay, it looks really damn cool. I think this gameplay style came from Daybreak 1 or Koro no Kaseki, and I just gotta say, it looks insanely fun to play. Every time I happen to see something on Kai, it just makes me want to play Daybreak, but I know I can't because I'm playing the games in order and I just... Sorry about that, got a bit heated. But really, this game looks genuinely amazing for Falcom. The gameplay, the craft animations, the character expressions, everything just looks phenomenal, man. It's crazy to see this level of improvement from Falcom. I really feel like we're on the cusp of a brand new golden age for Falcom, you know? Like, they're at their peak and they're just surpassing it again and again and again. We've seen the improvements with each new game. From East 10 to Kai, things are just looking better and better. You really have to wonder how crazy the game after Kai is gonna be. Tokyo Xanadu 2 could end up being yet another generational banger for Falcom. Honestly, I really think they're gonna end up going all in for that game, because they've said, and I quote, "It's essentially a new IP." Now, that could mean a whole bunch of things. Is it not actually a direct sequel? Are they trying to say Tokyo Xanadu is gonna be a third pillar for Falcom, alongside East and Trails? Who knows? It's way too early to say. Literally, the only thing we know for sure is that the artist from the first game is returning. But still, even with that lack of info, it doesn't stop me from being real excited to find out what they're cooking up. And speaking of cooking things up, there's still two more things we need to talk about. Probably the most important, depending on who you are. Those two things being the Trails in the Sky remake and the East 5 remake. Now, both of these things have a very likely chance of happening. One more than the other because apparently it's pretty much confirmed at this point. I'm not exactly a big enough fan to really talk about what a remake of Trails in the Sky should be or how it will play or anything like that. The most I can do is question if they would do the Final Fantasy thing and split the remake up, which personally I really hope they end up not doing. I'm not even sure if it will be possible, but the best case scenario would be for the remake to, remake everything. Sky First Chapter, Second Chapter, and Sky the Third. Is that possible? Would it even work? Don't ask me. I just think it'd be cool, Not to mention, if all three games were remade as one game, people would have no excuse to not give the games a try anymore. So even more people would be able to experience Trails. And at the end of the day, that's what everyone wants, right? For more people to see and understand how great the series you love is. The only downside I can imagine is like people finishing the remake, moving on to the next games and being like, oh, this doesn't look as good. I don't want to play this unless it gets a remake like the last game. And then that starts a whole nother thing. Would the Crossbow games get remade? Would the Cold Steel games get remade? So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at, I hope the first 3 Sky games are remade into one game. That's pretty much the best we can hope for, I think. Now for the other remake, and the one I'm obviously looking forward to seeing eventually happen the most. The long-awaited remake of East 5. Now, unlike the Trails remake, I can actually speak a good bit on this one, since I'm basically the #1 East fan, So, first, is this remake even gonna happen? To be totally honest, we all know it's coming eventually. I think it's taken this long because we needed a new game first, so Falcom could basically test out a new gameplay style for East. I really don't think we could have been able to handle a 5th party system game, I think the only way we could have already gotten the remake is if East 9 didn't happen yet. And honestly, I don't think I want to be in that timeline. I like East 9 way too much. Anyways, with East 10 out now and the cross-action system seemingly being well received, I think it's safe to say that the next game is definitely going to be the East 5 remake. And that goes into my next question. How would the game play? The cross-action system in East 10 worked so well because of how freely you can switch between the two characters. However, East 5 was a solo adventure for Adol. Granted, there are solo sections in East 10 which played just fine, so it's not like the cross-action system would totally break without a second character. But I think it'd be best, gameplay-wise, to have another party member there. But now we gotta think, who would it even be? Well, obviously, Dogi. He hasn't been playable since East 7, so this remake would probably be the perfect chance to get to play as him again. However, Dogi wasn't actually in East 5. Well, he wasn't in the SNES version of the game, so if Dogi does show up in the remake, they'd have to redo a lot of the story. And I mean, Falcom already said if they ever decide to remake the game, they'd pretty much have no choice but to change the story quite a bit. So yeah, with that in mind, I think it's safe to say that the East 5 remake would use the cross-action system and have Dogi as the other playable character alongside Adol. Man, just thinking of what kind of cool team-up attacks those two would have together is already getting me hyped. The last thing I want to talk about briefly is who I think the artist for the remake would be. It's pretty likely that Falcom either gets Toy 8 to do the art again, or they get the artist from the Oath and Felghana remaster. Both of them would be good choices, and I wouldn't really complain about either of them. However, here's my best case scenario. They get the original artist from East 5 back for the remake, Minako Iwasaki. Her art style just has a really nice look to it, and the previous art she did for the series looks genuinely amazing. It'd be really nice to see what she'd cook up if Falcom decided to bring her back. Anyways, this and the Trails in the Sky remake are going to be some really good games once they happen. Cause again, let's be honest here, they're both going to happen eventually. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Falcom has been really locked in for these new games, and it's really amazing to see. The future is looking pretty bright, and I hope we can all be there for the ride. Whether you're an East fan, a Trails fan, or one of the 3 remaining Tokyo Xanadu fans, we're all eating real good right now. Anyways, that's all for me. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and maybe subscribe too. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.